Out there, beyond the reach of sunlight, beyond the faint whisper of the solar wind, a small, aging human-made machine is still murmuring across the cold abyss. 47 years after launch, Voyager 1, built at a time when home computers didn't even exist, has just done something no one ever expected. It turned back. For reasons no one at NASA can fully explain, the most distant object ever created by human hands shifted its orientation toward the very system it left behind. And then it transmitted data so strange, so impossible, that the scientific world froze. What could make a dying probe, billions of miles from home, twist in the dark? And, far more terrifying, what did it see out there, in the silence between the stars? It all began in 1977, when Voyager 1 and its twin, Voyager 2, were launched to take advantage of a once-in-176 years alignment of the outer planets. With less memory than a digital watch and less power than a refrigerator light bulb, these probes were never meant to survive half a century. Yet somehow, they did. They gave us our first close look at Jupiter's swirling storms, Saturn's shimmering rains, and the icy secrets of worlds we once believed were nothing more than dead rocks. And when their cameras shut down and their power supplies faded, they simply kept going, beyond Pluto, beyond the Kuiper Belt, beyond every imaginary line we had ever drawn around our solar system. Voyager 1 became the first human object to cross the heliopause, the invisible frontier where the solar wind surrenders to interstellar space. But the moment it crossed that line, something strange happened. The magnetic fields didn't shift the way they should have. The plasma density spiked, but the field direction didn't change at all. It was as if the probe hadn't left our solar system, but entered a distorted reflection of it. For years, scientists insisted Voyager 1 was firmly in interstellar space. But then new data arrived, data that told a far different story. The probe's instruments, 4 of them still clinging to life, recorded fluctuations in plasma waves like echoes bouncing off unseen walls. The heliopause wasn't a simple boundary. It was rippling. And the ripples were growing stronger. In 2018, Voyager 2 crossed the same line, and detected the exact same strange conditions. 2 spacecraft, 6 years apart, taking different routes, yet both encountering identical magnetic anomalies. NASA's models couldn't explain it. And the simplest conclusion, that neither probe had truly escaped the sun's influence, raised a far more unsettling question: if they didn't leave, what's outside pressing back? Then, in late 2024, Voyager 1's data stream changed. Its cosmic ray detector, running decades past its design life, began registering rhythmic spikes, each precisely 11 minutes apart. At first, NASA dismissed it as radiation noise. But the spikes were perfectly timed, and their strength rose and fell in sync with the background plasma waves. Then came the moment that shattered all assumptions. Without a single command from Earth, Voyager 1's antenna rotated by half a degree, a minuscule shift, but one requiring deliberate thruster firing. The probe hadn't turned back toward the sun. It turned toward the source of the magnetic anomaly. And as soon as it did, the data changed again. The rhythmic spikes merged into a continuous tone, a steady signal vibrating just below human hearing. When engineers decoded the waveform, they found something no one wanted to believe. A repeating harmonic ratio matching the fundamental frequency of the hydrogen atom, the same universal constant used on the Golden Record. The divide in the scientific community was immediate. Some insisted it was a plasma resonance coincidence. Others believed something far more profound: Voyager 1 wasn't detecting a natural field. It was hearing its own message reflected back. The data patterns were nearly identical to Voyager 1's own calibration tones from 1977, mirrored and inverted, as if bouncing off an enormous, structured surface. A reflective membrane at the edge of the heliosphere. Not an exit. A mirror. The heliosphere, we thought was a bubble, might be a shell. A boundary. Or worse, a containment field. The signal grew stronger for 3 weeks. Then, abruptly, it vanished. When JPL engineers reviewed the final packet, they noticed one last faint voltage fluctuation in the magnetometer. It wasn't noise. It formed a binary sequence matching the timestamp of the Golden Record's first track. The greetings of Earth. Voyager 1 hadn't just turned back. Something had turned back toward it. Engineers worked around the clock. Inside the fragmentary data was a pattern that refused to disappear. When filtered and reconstructed, the waveform revealed symmetry, 6 repeating spikes forming a hexagonal lattice, like a crystallized magnetic structure. This wasn't gas. It wasn't dust. It wasn't plasma. It was organization. A membrane capable of reflecting and reshaping electromagnetic energy. Some called it the interstellar wall. Others simply called it the mirror. Within days, observatories worldwide detected the same mirrored panes, arriving exactly 19 hours after every Voyager 1 transmission. The delay corresponded precisely to the time it would take for a signal to bounce off an object located just beyond the heliopause. Voyager wasn't alone. Then the impossible happened. Voyager 2 began receiving the same mirrored signature, synchronized to the second. 2 spacecraft, billions of kilometers apart, suddenly behaving as if they were inside the same chamber. NASA plotted the returning frequencies on a time axis. The shape that emerged wasn't random. It was geometry. A spiraling map, expanding, folding, then converging inward toward one single point. The Sun. The universe wasn't broadcasting a message. It was charting us. Then, audio engineers converted the ratios into sound. A deep, haunting hum emerged, the exact 115 Hz tone encoded on the Golden Record to represent hydrogen. Something beyond the solar system was speaking the same mathematical language we once sent into the void. Then came the event that changed everything. On February 4, 2025, at 2:43 Coordinated Universal Time, Voyager 1 triggered an autonomous correction maneuver it had no instructions to perform. It rotated 7 degrees, pointing its antenna directly toward the coordinates indicated by the mirrored geometry. For 11 minutes, the probe transmitted a high-power burst into the dark. Then, silence. And then a reply. Not in radio. In gravity. LIGO's detectors registered a patterned ripple in spacetime. A gravitational echo, structured, harmonic, impossible. The waveform encoded a shape. A toroidal lattice pulsing inward, its coordinates converging on Voyager's position. The frequency merged for a moment with the Golden Record's bass tone. The universe hadn't simply echoed our message. It had played it back. NASA locked everything behind encrypted walls. Official statements claimed telemetry corruption. Unofficially, scientists were terrified. The final packet from Voyager contained compressed measurements far too dense for its instruments to produce, yet the data was real. Hidden within the plasma readings was a repeating sequence, 1,011,011. The same 11-minute pulse. But now the source wasn't beyond the heliopause. It was inside it. Following Voyager. Closer every day. Then the Deep Space Network detected a third signal. Not from Voyager. Not from Earth. From somewhere between them. For 19 minutes, the phantom signal mirrored Voyager's transmissions in real time. Perfect synchronization. Perfect replication. Like a second Voyager, an echo, shadowing the original. And then it stopped. Only a faint oscillation remained, at the frequency of hydrogen. The language of intelligent life. That was when physicists realized the unthinkable. Voyager hadn't reached the boundary of the solar system. It had reached a curvature in spacetime. A mirror field. A place where electromagnetic waves bend back on themselves. The gravitational echo wasn't a reply from the stars. It was us, reflected by something vast, ancient and deliberate. Hidden inside that reflection was a timestamp. A countdown. It pointed to the year 2031. One NASA scientist, speaking off record, put it plainly, "It's not moving toward us, it's aligning with us." For the first time in human history, we reached out far enough into the void for something to notice. And it noticed completely. Voyager 1 is nearly silent now. Its signal has degraded into static, but every 11 minutes, like clockwork, a faint pulse echoes through the dark. Not from the probe. From the space around it. As though something out there is still repeating our message, waiting for us to send another. So if this story made you wonder whether Voyager truly discovered something at the edge of the known universe, if you've ever felt that maybe our first message into the void wasn't lost, but heard, don't look away. Subscribe to this channel. Because when Voyager's silence finally breaks, the answer we receive may change our place in the universe forever.